Welcome to the Pod Punk Show. By the way, the other day, a cab almost hit me when it was turning a corner.
So you're a New Yorker.
Yeah, but no, I kicked it and I put a dent in it.
Oh, wow. You are a New Yorker.
But you know, at the same,
I'm walking here.
Not even a step further. Subconsciously, I go, "Ya fuck."
Wow. That's like you're like a real New Yorker.
Yeah, like I sound like I grew up on like the Lower East Side my entire life. Fucking walking here, you
walking
fuck.
here, you fuck. Yeah, you need to go back to your fucking office, you jack off.
I used to be the paper boy for Bob Dylan, you fuck.
You saw that, right? You saw that. You saw it was him. So anything else happened to you this week? How was everything?
Not bad, man. It's been like, honestly, we scheduled to do this band this week very specifically because I knew I'd be busy with my in-laws in town.
This is an errand band. This is an easy errand band.
This is one that I'm like, okay, I already have opinions on this. I already know this album inside and out.
This is like episode writes itself for Aaron, autopilot on, but I can still bring the A game.
Exactly. Like I did a little extra digging. I did listen to it a bunch, but I knew I wasn't going to have a lot of time to do a deep dive this week on something new with having to show my in-laws around.
Did we mention your in-laws were here?
I don't know if we did. Yeah, my in-laws, Janet, my wife, her parents came to visit for the week.
Oh, like a real week too. This wasn't like a 2-day trip. They were here like almost a full week.
Recording today on Saturday because they came Monday and they left this morning. I took the M60 out to LaGuardia to drop them off at Terminal
The M60 is
A.
a bus because this is a great city, New York, but none of our subways actually touch any airports. Because why would you do that?
Well, trains and planes, not trains plus or. You know what? I'm just gonna go back to the Midwest.
You ever flown into Chicago?
O'Hare? Yeah, fuck O'Hare. O'Hare can fuck itself and die.
I mean, you could do O'Hare or Midway. You can go into either one, and guess what? Their subway system connects to it.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
I've never been to Midway, but I don't like O'Hare because, like, you know what O'Hare doesn't know how to handle? Snow. They just never decided to learn how to fucking handle snow.
Yeah, no, I mean, snow's always, I think, tough.
And you know what I love about O'Hare? I can shit on O'Hare all day, and Chicagoans, they just agree. Like, they know it's a shit airport.
I've never actually been to O'Hare. I've been to Midway once, and then every other time in Chicago was driving in or out. So I've never actually been to O'Hare.
Driving. When I moved here, we packed all our stuff in a Buick Lucerne, a 2006 Buick Lucerne, just a big old boat sedan. Like it's like a Cadillac for people who can't afford Cadillac but want to be comfy. It's an old person car.
Oh, cool. Okay.
I love that car. We packed everything in that. All our stuff, everything that couldn't fit got thrown away or donated. And we drove here. The only part of the drive all the way between Madison, Wisconsin to New York City that stressed me out and like irritated me was like having to go past O'Hare on the interstate.
Why was that?
It's like a black hole where like time moves slower because of the gravity.
O'Hare though is a nice part of Chicago. North side, Midway's on the south side.
I honestly, I grew up like Chicago is the closest real like major top 3 city I grew up near, but I don't know my way around Chicago for the fucking life of me.
Well, no, Chicago's tough, and the reason why is New York's on the grid. Chicago throws in that 45-degree angle streets.
Yeah.
And like when you get into cities that do that, like it just screws everything up. It's like being in the West Village. Like you have no idea like what's up or what's down.
Well, it's like New York before they started like, hey, let's have a plan, guys.
No, yeah. When you're like in downtown New York, it's like, who was the richest white guy on this block? Okay, that's what it's called, and it's because we took it from the Indians that were using it as a trail.
Yeah.
I like that they eventually got to a point. They're like, we got to grid this.
Yeah.
If a second grader can't chart this, we are not building it anymore.
Yeah, let's have a plan, guys. That's really what it came down. No, Chicago also like, you know what I really hate in movies now that I live here? Whenever it's like it takes place in New York and it's like, oh, they found it in the alley. Where?
No alleys. Chicago
is a land of alleys.
Chicago's got so many alleys. Like literally, I've never been in a city where there's a street where the cars drive, and then behind your house is another street only for sanitation purposes. Mm-hmm. But it's another street, and like that was the coolest part. Is I always felt like it was like Grand Theft Auto, San Andreas, where like you're like the hood rat over in the Compton area, because like we would just use those alleys to walk around when we were up there recording.
Yeah,
but like it was so cool. You could just cut around in the alleys, and like people kind of just hang out there. It was awesome.
Yeah, that's how you get stabbed with a needle.
Oh yeah, well, at night I would not go on those. I would not go anywhere near those. But during the daytime, there's a quick little shortcut.
It's also like I didn't grow up in New York, but even when I was like 10 years old from Law and Order, I know like, you know what you don't do? Jog in Central Park at night.
No, you don't. At least now.
Unless your aspirations are to be body found.
I mean, if you are going to be found quick, though, that's a good place to die. All right, so we are, this week, I think it's very rare that we cover a band that I think is just so monumentally good and also monumentally important. And this week is definitely one of them. So how would you describe this band to somebody that's listening to the podcast right now without telling them the name? And unfortunately, they're probably going to look at the title.
So let's pretend you're hearing this blank. So the band that we're doing this week is the most, if you had to draw like a Venn diagram or like a chart of all the type of bands that we would do on the show, from pop punk to hardcore to emo, this band is the true magnetic north of punk rock.
This is it.
They are the razor's edge between hardcore and just punk, the razor's edge between punk and pop punk. Like, they are the most punk as fuck fucking band.
They're the know-all, end-all.
Every song,
the creme de la creme.
Absolutely, just like rises to the top. It is like they use 2 drum beats on almost every song, and it's that same like just fast as fuck.
Oh, they're doing what they do. They're doing it well.
You can tell they're important too, because they've inspired. There's almost an entire branch of the punk rock tree.
Yeah,
that literally just sounds almost derivative of NoFx.
Up.
All right. Ding,
I was
ding,
going
ding.
to see how long. Actually, I was waiting to see how long you would go until you slipped.
I couldn't help it. So yeah, there's a whole. Like,
no, I mean, cat's out of the bag. We're doing Rancid this week. No, but okay. So NoFx, obviously. And more importantly, we're doing NoFx, but we're doing Punk In Drublic.
By the way, great name. Great fucking
amazing name. And I just want to say this right now. Because I tend to kind of go more towards the poppier, emo-y, or like new wave bands that we listen to. I'd say you're more of the punk guy.
I am the punk snob.
Without putting us into anything. Anybody that's one of my people, because this is a band that you're going to overlook or you're going to be intimidated by. If you have not heard this album, Punk In Drublic, stop listening to this podcast right now. It's 40 minutes long. Go listen to it 3 times in a row. You're going to want to listen to it 3 times in a row. This is one of the best albums from start to finish. And it's a band that I think certain people will overlook or they won't touch for whatever reason. You know what I mean? It's like intimidating, or it's like, I would never like that, or I wouldn't even think to like that. Like, this is it.
If you grew up in a genre that is punk adjacent, like an emo or a pop punk, or what have you, a lot of times you're gonna look at NoFx and you're like, oh, there's a lot of mohawks, there's a lot of tattoos, they're kind of crusty.
These are. It's like, I think you said this before the episode, so I want to make sure you get the quote. This is the Paul McCartney and John Lennon level of like punk writing.
Yeah,
like, it doesn't get any better than
this. It's a high watermark for what punk rock could be and should be.
And not only that, I would make the argument, if you like Good Charlotte, like, this is Good Charlotte, because I know if like NoFx, they're gonna. I'm just saying, like, it's so good of songwriting that it could be on the radio. It just never is.
Exactly. This is unseasoned punk rock.
Yeah, and like, they would definitely not want to be on the radio, and it's against everything they're about. But at the same time, I'm trying to give respect here. Like,
absolutely.
It's just like, it's incredible.
Dude, they could have been like a MCA, like top level selling
they
band.
easily could have. They decided not to, and they still did pretty well for themselves. In fact, amazingly well for themselves.
Yeah, I think Fat Mike's okay.
Yeah, arguably the most successful band that's never been on a major record label.
So really quick rundown, just names and positions. Who's in this band? We got
names and positions. So we have the leader of our bands here. We have Mr. Fat Mike.
Mike Burkett. But everyone, like, we're not calling him Fat. His name is Fat Mike.
That's what he wants to go by, and God bless him. He's great.
By the way, just as a Midwesterner, like, he's not that fat.
No, he's not at all. He gets a little bit of a rap there, but he's one of the freaking most interesting, realist guys like I've ever seen in my entire life, and I've only seen videos of them. I've never seen this band live.
If he was a comic, if Fat Mike was a comic, he would be Jim Norton meets a little bit of Bill Burr.
Oh yeah, no, he's
like,
amazing.
he has that kind of like embrace. Like, don't get me wrong, Fat Mike is like kind of a snot in a little ways. Like, he's very like kind of like in your face about stuff, and he's also.
He's abrasive.
He's like, in a lot of ways, he's kind of a total like creep.
Well, like, I always like, I look at him.
I mean that with love, but like,
I look
he's
at
into
him,
like S&M shit.
He's like a warhead where it's like a little bit sour, but if you stick with it long enough, there's a really, really sweet and good candy in the middle.
Really quick. Me and my wife, one of our biggest fights we ever got into, she told me when she was a kid, she used to soak warheads in water.
In water, absolutely. Your wife is smart.
All right, here, we're going to have the same fight I have with my wife.
No,
but
right? I mean, I wouldn't put them in water, though. What I would do is, because the water would take too long, I would go to the faucet and put it on as like fast as it could go, and I would just hold the warhead in my palm of my hand.
All right, you need to listen up, because this is the same thing I told her. Do you know what the fucking point of warheads is, John? Warheads are about life. Warheads are about what kind of person you're going to be. when you eat a warhead, you put a warhead in your mouth, you go through the pain and the puckering of the bitterness and the sour. To earn the sweet. You have to earn the reward of the sweet. You don't just get to jump the line.
Do you know
the sweets?
Did you know how I used to play SimCity 2000?
How?
I'd put in all the cheat codes until my city was making so much money from taxes, I could take them off and still make a profit. I think we look at life a little bit differently, buddy. And I think warheads sum that up.
You know what? It's because I'm a bootstrap Midwest guy. Like, I grew up like hard work, calluses on my hand. You earn your way through a warhead.
I will say this though. You remember fireballs?
No, I never fuck with fireballs. They're like big red gum, like candy
right.
in your mouth.
But what I would do, that's awesome. It's a little much, but that's awesome. What I would do with them though is those I would put into water in a cup, and I would let that go out. But I would drink the water afterwards.
Why not just like
because when you
toothpaste?
put it I could see what you're saying, but when you put it directly on your mouth, it was a little too much cinnamon. But when you put it in the water, you could control a little bit more. But warheads, like, what sick fuck would want to put that in their mouth? And like what's wrong? Like, and I think you know me pretty well at this point. So for me to look at that and go like, why the fuck would you do that to yourself?
You are a little more masochistic.
Yeah, like I'm just like that to me, like that's another complex. I don't even know where to go with that one.
Warheads? No, because also I don't mind the sour, but it is, you have to, it's earning your way through it. It's putting yourself
When's
through
the last time you had a warhead?
I don't know. Do they sell them at Rite Aid?
Okay, so this is what we're doing. The next time we do this podcast, we're going to have a bag of warheads. We're going to try them on the air because, like, I don't think you remember how freaking sour those things are. They are fucking brutal.
All right, you know what? We're going to do it and we're going to put it out.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, so we kind of lost track here. So
okay, so I'm just going to start over.
Mike.
So we're doing NoFx, and, like, let's go through their members really quick. We have Fat Mike. That is our leader. He's going to be our lead singer and bassist. And he's an original member. He's been with the band since they started.
Yep, he's a founding member. He's also a punk rock icon. He is like the fucking...
Oh, yeah. No, there's...
Actually, I almost want to say he's like the Johnny Rotten of punk now. I think that does him disservice. He's way more fucking punk than any of the Sex Pistols.
Oh, yeah, no, he's amazing. Legend. Walking legend. Then we have Mr. El Jefe. That is... arguably the newest member, even though he's been in the band since the early 90s.
And how do you say his name? Aaron?
It's Aaron Abeta.
Aaron Abeta.
Aaron Abeta. Then we have Mr. Eric Melvin. And
Melvin,
that is he's one of the original members.
Yeah, lead guitar, and like he's a fucking great guitarist.
He's an amazing guitarist, but he's got a weird look. He reminds me of like Sideshow Bob in real life.
He's a guy that you like if he's waiting in line in front of you at a food truck. Yeah. You just skip lunch.
Yeah.
Because you're like, I don't know about this guy.
And then we have Eric Sandin on the drums.
Eric Sandin. So we got two Erics.
Smelly.
Yeah, they call him Smelly. He's a fucking killer drummer, too.
They just reinforce your theory of that incredible drumming and punk. And that is one of them. So they're a 4-piece. We got a bass, 2 guitars, and then we have the singer playing bass. They're amazing.
Oh, it's the thing of like, you kind of pointing this out to me that I never really thought about. They're talented musicians.
Oh, they're really good. Really good.
Like everyone's like, oh, punk is it's just 4 chords really fast. Like, yeah, but do you understand like how fucking fast their drummer plays?
But the thing that's kind of crazy with it is they don't really do anything different. As we've gotten into the later years, they've gotten a little bit, more exploratory, but their first 5 albums, they're not really doing anything different. Each album's kind of the same. And they mastered like their speed punk, their attack, their hooks. It's just incredible. Everything came together in one
They have
spot.
not gone through a process of exploration. They have gone through a process of refinement.
No, that's what it is. Exactly.
They have refined every album. Instead of branching out and changing who they are, they just get better at what they do.
They get better at it. And it's incredible. And like they clearly mastered it in this. And then this is their second album with El Jefe. They brought him in. And this is what I love about the guy is he went to Berkeley School of Music. He has like a degree. Like he's like a PhD in music.
Yeah.
Like I know 5 people that have gone to Berkeley. 4 of them are in American authors. They were the band that was huge last year. I don't know them, but I used to hang out with them. They were growing up in New York.
Friends in common.
Yeah, they came down. And then my other friend is Danny, who has Saved by the 90s. It's like a side.
That's like all over the country now.
Yeah, he started that with a whole bunch of kids that he went to Berkeley. Like these are people that are like professional musicians. This is their guitarist. So it's just kind of funny that you always see them and you kind of like think like, oh, okay, they're like snot balls and like they're just playing simple music as fast as they can.
Right, they're just talking about hookers.
Yeah, no matter what, they're nasty.
And don't get me wrong, Fat Mike's going to talk to you about lesbian and hookers and songs.
Oh,
if you
yeah,
let
God
him.
bless them, though. Absolutely. God bless them. And so it's just incredible that they, basically behind that mask, they have a mad scientist. You know what I mean?
So let's get on to what's your first memory of NoFx?
Okay, so my first memory of NoFx is I'm getting into high school. We're in like 2003, 2004.
Okay.
I'm a junior or a senior. And I'm starting to now really explore music. And I kind of look at NoFx, even though looking now, they're NoFx, but they're kind of like a weird cheese. You know what I mean? It's like you get a cheeseburger and you're like, that's cool. But then if you hear like it has like cheddar on it, you're like, whoa, wait a minute.
Okay.
And it's just cheese. And I always kind of looked at them like that. And the reason why is they had an album that came out in 2000 called Pump Up the Volume. And
that's actually keep going.
The cover was like that gothic nurse, and they had a shirt out that was kind of the punk style where it's the Xerox copies and it was put on it.
Yeah.
It kind of looks like a Marilyn Manson cover. And so for whatever weird reason, I just always thought that they were like goth Marilyn Manson, like creepy horrorcore.
Really?
Yeah, I just never. And then one day I just got over myself and I fucking Drublic. I was like, this is fucking amazing. It doesn't get any better than this.
Absolutely. This goes again to like one of my things that's so interesting about the difference between you and I. Like I knew that album cover, but I've never really like I look at an album cover, I'm like, okay, cool, and like it's almost like a wrapping paper. I'm like, okay, that's gone.
Right.
Now what's in the box?
I think though too, if I was to see the album cover, it's not as aggressive. Like the shirt I'm talking about, it's like a black and white shirt, and it just like looked like freaking. And not to mention too, a lot of the people that were wearing it were like the real punks in the school. They had like the Elmer Glue mohawks.
Yeah.
So like that was kind of it, but it made me really intimidated. You know what I mean?
No, totally. Yeah.
But no, they're amazing.
So my first memory of NoFx is so when I was growing up, my dad would let me listen to just about anything I wanted to music wise, except if it was super explicit. And his rule was always, okay, once you're 13, you can listen to whatever you want.
Now you're a man.
Yeah, like you're old enough to understand, like, do
I need to go with you to a PG-13 anymore? Okay, son, you can hear and see whatever the fuck you want.
That's so no. My dad had NoFx albums.
Oh, really? He was a fan?
Yeah, no.
Yeah, you're a pretty cool dad.
No, my first punk record was Give 'Em the Boot by Rancid or Hellcat, Tim's label.
Oh shit!
Like my dad went through a punk phase like 5 years before I did.
I love you. Like you're talking like you're like 5 years old. Your dad's making you drink beer and listen to NoFx, and then like my first thing was like meeting Good Charlotte and like in like a meet and greet.
I heard Bad Religion's Stranger Than Fiction.
Yeah.
When I was 9.
That's
and
so
like,
awesome.
I had my own copy.
Oh yeah, no, that's you should absolutely.
So like my dad, like my dad's also a musician, bass player. He's really more into metal, but like he went through a lot of punk. This was back in the Columbia House music days too.
Right.
So he had a ton of albums coming in all the time, and Punk In Drublic was one I wanted to listen to.
Yeah.
Because he's like, oh yeah, this is a really punk one. And I'm like, oh, I really want to hear it. He's like, no, you can't till you're older. Because there's like pretty. I think there's a song about being transgender on there that's like really graphic.
Yeah, there's a couple on there, but I mean, I don't know. Like I just listened to it. I could definitely see why a kid I would maybe not want
like a little boy.
Yeah, a little boy. Yeah,
like absolutely. A blue-eyed, blonde-haired little boy.
Absolutely.
So, but here's I don't know if my dad's listening. I burned a copy of that album when he was at work, and I listened to the shit out of it.
Oh man.
Really quick side tangent.
So we just dropped that on the show. Oh no.
Sorry, Dad, Dave. So really quick though, there's only one album I've ever actually listened to and got scared of. Do you want to know what it was?
What's that?
The Marshall Mathers LP came out when I was 10, and my babysitter actually burnt me a copy of it.
Oh man.
The uncensored, like explicit cut, and you know the song Kim?
I think so. Is that the one where he talks about like killing his wife?
And he actually plays out like doing her voice of him chasing her through the woods to stab her to death.
He's such a good visualizer.
But like it's fucking like even today it's fucking uncomfortable. I was 10 years old listening to my Walkman while my parents are asleep.
Right.
The Kim by myself, and I'm like literally like, oh, this is why my dad doesn't want me to listen to all music.
Yeah,
yet.
I mean that could really fuck a kid up.
It did.
Absolutely.
I've never dated a girl named Kim.
Yeah, I mean that's some baggage. No, absolutely. I mean that makes absolute sense. No, absolutely, man.
So, but yeah, my first memory is basically listening to Pump Up the Volume when I'm not supposed to.
Okay, cool. So just for you to see, this is the shirt I was talking about. But like, could you see like a freshman dude seeing that and like taking the wrong image of a band?
Oh yeah, I never saw that T-shirt. I've seen the album cover, and that's from the album cover. But like, I can understand why you're like, okay, I get it. It's all gothic and shit.
To me, it looks like a Tim Burton movie. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, and I don't like Tim Burton.
No, that's how I feel too. So I was like, fuck them. I'm not gonna listen to them because I'm all about image. So like, I was just like, yeah, fuck them.
But no, Tim Burton to me is He's not a director. He's a color palette.
Right, exactly. But I mean, that's why I was just like, I don't get The Nightmare Before Christmas. I am not doing this. I will move on. So I kind of got a bad first impression, I guess, which was retarded.
Dude, we just lost every girl who's into emo ever.
I know. So like that's how you end up being 20 years old and listening to Punk In Drublic for the first time and crying because it's so good.
So anything else you want to hit in the first half?
I mean, that's kind of it. The only other, okay. So the other thing I just wanted to talk about, and we talk about this in a lot more detail, so we're not going to really hit it on this episode. So if you want to go back to episode 07, which is the Offspring, we break down the whole Epitaph.
Oh yeah, the history of Epitaph a little bit.
But this was an important album because this was put out in a very important year in punk. And so
94?
94.
Yeah.
And like the way I would look at it is it's kind of like in the Bible, there's BC and there's AD. Like this is the year that things go from like BC into like the new side of what we have. But that 1 year, what are we working with there? We had 5 albums that came out. All of them are monumental and incredible.
No, you're right. So there's what are the 5 here? We got Dookie by Green Day.
Yeah, we have Dookie by Green Day. We have Smash
by Offspring,
which we covered in episode 7.
Yeah.
We had
Punk In Drublic,
which we're covering this episode.
And we also had
we had Stranger Than Fiction
by Bad Religion signing to Atlantic, which was huge.
Yeah, that was huge for a punk band that actually sounded a major.
Which is funny because Brett Gurrows, who started Epitaph.
Right, and then he also put out Rancid's album. What's the name of that one?
Let's Go is their second album, which is them, but that's when Lars joins the band, and that's when Rancid really locks in who Rancid is.
Well, that's why I wanted to ask you. I want to rank these albums is what I want to do.
Oh, fuck. Oh, okay.
That's what I want to do. And
so also, this is my wheelhouse. Like,
no, exactly. That's why
shit.
I told you before we were doing the show that I had a question for you. I was going to wait till we were on the air.
Motherfucker.
That was the question. But the thing that I wanted to say here, though, is just for everybody listening, especially the people that are coming more from like the emo Fall Out Boy side, is number 1, Dookie, incredible. If you've never heard it, you need to hear it.
Really quick, I have to get this on record.
Yeah.
Everyone was like, Green Day sold out. People have been saying Green Day sold out every fucking album they've had.
Oh, amazingly. Absolutely. My first guitar teacher I went to, I stopped going to him.
Really?
He went on this rant about how like Green Day doesn't play their instruments and that they can't be that good. And it was just like, he didn't like punk music. Like that was all it was.
Fuck him.
But he's like, I heard from people that would know. They don't even play their own stuff. And like looking back, and even at the time I was like, because number 1, I'm like anti-authority always.
Yeah.
So I'm like, fuck you. But like, even looking back though, like that's kind of like the rap that these fucking bands get.
Oh, absolutely. Like, really quick, Green Day's breakdown. There's a before and after, and American Idiot is the center point.
Yeah.
American Idiot is the first album that they put out that is not like because honestly, every single album before that, like Minority, Warning, Nimrod, Dookie,
all amazing.
Insomniac,
yeah,
all are fucking punk records.
Absolutely.
So anyway, so Dookie, fucking amazing through and through. Like you know Basket Case, Longview,
right?
Yeah, you know the hits on it. Fucking She on that album, she's
yeah, no, I know exactly.
Beautiful fucking song, beautiful. Like the fucking B-sides of that are amazing.
My favorite is No Longer. It's getting out of life. This time I really lost my mind and I don't care.
Here's what you're doing. You're not just like say, hey, pick your 5, like rank your 5 favorite children. You're saying, hey, you already narrowed down your 5 favorite children out of like 25 children.
Yeah.
And now pick the favorites out of those.
Yeah, absolutely.
If I can do it.
Okay, what's the best one out of the group then?
Out of how much I like all of these, honestly,
yeah,
it changes every day.
Really?
Like, yeah, honestly, it's all my mood. Like right now, I've actually been going back down a Green Day rabbit hole.
I'm not as close to the
not
flame.
as sentimental.
Not even that. No, I'm not as close to the flame as you are with these ones. But I'm going to make the statement right here. I think it's tied or it's back and forth between Punk In Drublic and Dookie.
I could see an argument for Dookie being Green Day's best album.
It's definitely,
and I can see
definitely the best, or it's the second best.
I would like it'd always be in the top 3 for me.
I think anybody you talk to is going to say it's American Idiot or Dookie.
Yeah, anybody can go fuck off.
That's fine. We could take the hipster approach. We could add a third one.
No, because honestly, I really think Nimrod is super underrated.
No, it's great, but I don't think it touches that. Which is amazing too, because if Nimrod was any other band and just like their catalog, it would probably be their best album. And it's the third.
Any Green Day album would have been any other band's best album.
Absolutely, I totally agree with that.
So it has to be Dookie or Punk In Drublic only because both of those you can make the argument are those bands' best albums.
Yeah, and it's just crazy too because like the only difference is Dookie's a little bit more commercial. Dookie can be played on MTV and it'd be satisfying, where Punk In Drublic is a little bit more of a like a blue cheese, where I think it's an incredible cheese, but it's got layers. You kind of got to let it get used to it.
Blue cheese a lot. Do you work for the blue cheese lobby?
I am a blue cheese lobbyist. Absolutely.
Really? Hey, Congressman, do you have time today to talk about blue cheese? All right, so I'm just gonna rank these in my favorites of
Yeah.
like literally this moment.
Yeah, let's hear it.
When I go back to edit this, I'm gonna hate myself because I'm just gonna disagree always.
That's fine.
Right now, I have to go Stranger Than Fiction, Punk In Drublic, Dookie, Let's Go, then Smash.
Absolutely, I agree with that.
But I would take any of these 5 albums over almost any other album.
No, absolutely, man. That's I completely agree with that. Actually,
Oh, you put me in a tough place.
I mean, I knew I was going to do that. And like, that's the whole thing is like Stranger Than Fiction, I'm actually not too versed in. I need to kind of go back and really listen to that
it's
album.
fucking great. Better Off Dead.
I'm sure it's amazing. I just, for the show purposes, kind of wanted to, I want to stay away from things I'm not super familiar with until we're
honestly, my least favorite song. This sounds like I'm being a hipster again.
Yeah, no, please.
But my least favorite song in Stranger Than Fiction is 21st Century Digital Boy, which is the single.
Oh, really?
But like that to me, that's the song. I don't know if it's because it was played out for me already.
Right.
But like the title track, Stranger Than Fiction, on that album is fucking incredible.
Full disclosure, I don't think I've ever actually heard the album.
Oh yeah? Oh, it's great. It's great graphing at its best of like
I'm sure it's
clever
amazing.
writing.
I know, I'm sure it's amazing.
So is there anything else you want to hit before we go to our break here and then come back? Or?
No, I think let's go to the break. Let's give them some of this album. Since like, if you have not stopped and gone to listen to it, like we're going to play a couple songs.
All right, let's actually go out on The Cause. I feel like that's a good place to go if we're going to talk punk rock. The Cause.
Cool. Absolutely.
Is it for the money? No, it isn't for the fun. It's a plan, a scam, a diagram. It's for the benefit of everyone. You gotta have a little respect. Subterranean ideals. Traditional neglect. Reflect on how it makes you feel. The cause, we're just doing it for the cause. The cause, we're just doing it for the cause.
Hey guys, we hope you're enjoying the show. If you are, it would help us out a lot if you could rate, review, and subscribe in iTunes or however else you get your podcasting fix. Or better yet, just tell somebody you know via word of mouth. It goes a lot farther than you think.
Don't trust these lies. What are we doing this for? The cause. We're just doing it for the cause.
So what do you think, we both agree on the importance and incredibleness of this album.
Yeah, no, it's pivotal.
Let's just throw some numbers around. Like, how did this do and how much did this really permeate into the culture?
It did really, really well. I mean, this is out of everything they put out, this is their most successful album. And
okay.
It went gold. And like, when you think like, that's not really a lot of records. That's a lot of records for the early 90s. And like, here's the main thing. No type of coverage at all. There's no music videos that are coming out with it. Like, this is just basically word of mouth. It's kind of like how this album is spreading. And then over the course of their career, they've sold 6 million copies. They've never been on a major record label.
No.
Like, do you know how insane that is?
Do you know how fucking punt that? Like, here's my kind of theory to them too. Okay.
Yeah, please.
So they were on Epitaph, which is an indie label, but they became like the big indie label of punk.
Yeah.
And then then Fat Mike started his own record label because he's like, that's even too close to a major for me.
No, of course.
This album, you only heard about this album and it only sold because like your friend who you trusted about punk music told you to buy it.
Right. And like the main thing is like I just kind of want to like put this into perspective, like not being on a major record label and moving that many albums. It would be like Chris Nolan making a home movie and more people have seen that home movie than like one of his Batman movies. Like this, it's not going to a movie theater. Like, you know what I'm saying?
This even sold War and Arism, his anti-Bush album.
Yeah, it's their best-selling album.
Because that, I actually remember it was.
But
really
here's the other thing though: is War and Arism is the first album that came out on Fat Records, which is Fat Mike's actual record label.
Really?
Yeah. And with Fat Mike not using the RIAA with like their actual standards, there's a good chance like it might have sold more than that. Like we don't know.
Tell.
Yeah, we don't know.
What's weird, the reason War and Arism always comes to mind is because they played Conan in support of that because like they wanted to get the word out because he was very against Bush.
Well, yeah.
And they played Franco Un-American on there, and it was just like, honestly, it's the only like late night talk show they could be on, and you're like, there's still NoFx.
Oh yeah, no, it's absolutely incredible.
This is also Conan late night, not Conan Tonight Show, not Conan on TBS. This is Conan when he was on like 11:30 after fucking Leno.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. And like that was also too like they've always been political. Even on this album, they have a couple songs that are pretty political in that sense. But that was really, I think, when Fat Mike really started stepping up and going out for it.
And he also released on Fat Records. He released 2 compilations, the Rock Against Bush. These 2 punk rock compilations both like made it to like the Billboard Top 200.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. And like that was the main thing. And like this is also right at the same time he started punkvoter.com.
Yep.
And like that was like him trying to raise awareness for people to go out. So that's also too. I think they went out for the extra publicity and looking for all that type of stuff.
If you do like the more political side of punk rock or the more political side of NoFx, listen to The Decline. We might do an episode on that someday. It's an EP. It's a 23-minute song, but it's so NoFx. It's almost like a movement in like a ballet. Like it's just a whole thing and it's a story beginning to end. It's incredible.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely amazing. So basically what I want to talk about with this album before we actually start digging right into it is just how amazing these guys are when it comes to actually writing like catchy songs and just understanding like song structure, because these are not long songs. Like if like Blink-182 took like Adderall and was just like in the zone, like that's what this would sound like basically.
Well, and it's all driven by their drummer. Like actually, let's play a little clip here quick of like just his drumming, like when he's at his best.
Okay, cool.
And what I love about it, because he's playing that classic like two punk beat, that tick-cat.
Yep.
And what I love most about that, and I think this is what draws me to punk rock in general.
Okay, cool.
That drum beat is someone doing a drum roll with their entire body.
Oh yeah, no, I can't even imagine, dude. It's absolutely incredible. And like, what's also interesting to take note here, basically NoFx produces or co-produces every one of their full lengths that they're putting out. So they have a producer, and then they also have their writing credits. This is the first time Fat Mike is getting the full producing credit instead of the band. And then also he's working with somebody that's going to eventually become a business partner with him, and kind of like almost like a love affair he's going to have for the next 20 years. But they're working with this guy named Ryan Green, who went on to become a legendary producer in himself. But his background is drums. It's like where he came from. So he's a drummer by heart. Even now he offers like basically drum sessions or drum lessons, or, you know.
Can I get some other names of like bands he's worked with?
Oh yeah, he's recorded Usher. He's worked with Jay-Z. He actually, he's done quite a bit for Fat Records in the early 2000s, like basically every one of the Fat Records. Almost like, you know how Mr. Brett was doing a lot of the production work on the early Epitaph stuff?
Yeah.
He was basically doing that for Fat Records.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which makes sense, because like a lot of people will derogatorily say like a lot of Fat Rec bands all sound the same.
Right. And that's kind of what you always bash me with Drive Thru, and it's kind of funny.
No, totally. You're
Absolutely.
You just called me dad of like, well, that's not true. I'm like, but then I can't say about Drive Thru now. I feel like I need to find a new strategy out of this corner.
It's all good. I'm getting you. But I know exactly what you mean, though. And what you were going to say, though, is it's kind of interesting because he is the producer on it. So it kind of would have that same feeling throughout them all. Coming into Punk In Drublic, which is incredible for NoFx, and they're clicking on all cylinders. The album before this, which is called White Trash.
Two Heebs and a Bean. That's actually, whenever I have to remember who the members of NoFx are, I'm like, okay, White Trash, that's drummer.
Yeah.
Two Heebs. That's Melvin and
short for Hebrew, which is the
and then Bean is the Mexican guy El Jefe, because they're literally like just referring to themselves all by the racial slur.
No, it's awesome. And so El Jefe is who I was saying, he went to the Berklee School of Music and is like a PhD when it comes to musical theory.
Yeah.
So that's the album he joins, and so like it's kind of, that's their fourth album. That's where things start to change for NoFx. And like I said, they haven't really been changing their sound, but now all of a sudden it's gotten amazingly better put together. It's because of El Jefe coming in.
I think what really happens is Fat Mike is a songwriter, but El Jefe is the guy that can help you figure out how to get to A to B musically.
Oh yeah, no, he's like basically legitimizing you. And so they have a song on there, and it's a spoof song, and it's called Play This Song on the Radio. And it's just them breaking down like their music and like how to write a song. But this song is perfect. And it's them basically in their own heads explaining how to songwrite. And the fact that you can listen to it and just hear it and how perfect it is and how they're breaking down exactly what they're doing, it doesn't shock you when you hear Punk In Drublic, the next one, because all they're doing is taking that formula and now putting it to their songs.
We wrote this song, it's not too short, it's not too long. It's got backup vocals in just the right places. It's got a few oohs and ahs, and it takes a little pause just before I sing the airplane. Please play this song on the radio. Almost every line is sung in time, and almost every verse ends in a rim. Only problem we had was writing enough words. But that's okay, because the chorus is coming up again now. Please play this song on the radio. Please play this song on the radio.
was so incredible about Play This Song on the Radio is they're just kind of breaking down exactly how well they've mastered. Because if you're going to basically, to bring it back to comedy, which we like to do, is if you're going to parody something, you have to completely understand what it is in order to parody it.
That's why Mel Brooks, that's why Spaceballs is so good?
Exactly, because it's actually breaking down the essence of exactly what that is.
You also have to have enough love and understanding to really
Well, yeah, because at the end of the day, you're kind of roasting it, is what you're doing.
Exactly.
But basically, that's what I wanted to point out with that, was the fact that they're parodying like how to write a punk song, and it's actually really good, and they're breaking down like to a T exactly what they're doing in the song. It's literally foreshadowing an amazing album that's about to come out. Not in the fact that like they're going to do parodies in the next album, but like they've mastered songwriting now. Like they've gotten everything together.
Right.
It's all there. It's just incredible.
And a big part of my opinion is once you get to the point that you've written enough songs, you have enough experience to you really understand songwriting and the tools.
Absolutely.
Then it all just comes down to having something to say.
Oh yeah, no, it's done. It's like you've mastered painting. Like now you just need a muse. Like
exactly.
It's over. Absolutely.
I think a lot of bands don't get to that point where they've written enough, and a lot of like songwriters, you have to write 1,000 songs before you write. You know what you're doing.
This is why I love this album. Is like this is for guys that have now they know what NoFx is. Their sound has been mastered. It's been refined. It's perfect. And not only that, like they have a very unique sound.
This album too, a big crossing point for what Punk In Drublic to me, like a thing they hit.
Yeah,
is Fat Mike still has that. I think it might have come up before on the show. Something I call SoCal Valley Girl.
Okay, yeah, absolutely.
Where you kind of like draw it out. Like he doesn't do it as bad as like Tom DeLonge and Blink.
Right.
He's actually kind of like one of the originators to me of this kind of like,
so
it's just slightly flat.
So what Aaron's saying here is there's a really unique singing style in certain punk bands. And what he started to realize was like all of these punk bands are from the California area, from the Bay Area, San Francisco, down to Los Angeles.
Yeah.
And what he realized is like when you make fun of like California, dude, like you have like a kind of a Valley accent.
Yeah.
They're kind of doing a Valley accent. That's what it is. It's just the Valley accent coming through.
Fat Mike, I think, has more of like a original version of that, where he's just a little bit flat at times. But like we talked about in Set Your Goals.
Yeah.
We talk about it with Tom DeLonge from Blink.
Spiders.
So the accent that we're talking about there is the way we used to make fun of people from California. Actually, SNL does an incredible like reoccurring skit called The Californians.
Yeah.
And they kind of just make fun of that accent. That's literally what Aaron is saying with the actual punk.
Thank you. Yeah.
Like,
that's.
Yeah, that was pretty good. That was a good find. That's in episode 10, Set Your Goals.
On this one, he learned how to like, he still has that like flat, I almost said flat mic.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure he's heard that before. So he's like, fuck you.
He almost has that, no, but like, you know how he has that kind of like, that kind of like, almost gargle to his voice, which is super fucking punk.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it comes across so well in this album, but like
it's like a guttural groan is kind of like what he
yeah. It's very raw and has that punk sound to it.
Which I also think is a lot of the reasons why people are turned off by listening to them.
Oh yeah, if you're someone who like your favorite singers all sound pretty.
Yeah. No, this is not for you. But if you just like music that's good, this is absolutely
and if you want to understand, like if you want to understand how Blink came to be Blink, you need to go back to NoFx. If you want to understand Bowling for Soup, you need to go back to NoFx.
No, of course. And I think that's a lot of the problem, too, is like most people are Blink fans, but they're like Enema of the State fans. And Dude Ranch is a stretch for them. Forget Cheshire Cat, which, by the way, Cheshire Cat is almost an homage to Punk In Drublic.
Oh, yeah, that's when they were still like the most just fucking punk as fuck.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's literally like they're like, you guys are gods. Thank you for being a band. And this is us like saying thank you.
So I do want to talk a little bit about one song on this album. Like I kind of want to do one of my, I almost said classic Aaron breakdowns, but you can't call something you do classic and not get away with it.
No, I know what you mean.
So the song on this album that I really want to dig deep into, it's called The Bruce.
Right, which also is arguably one of the more popular songs on the album. Definitely a fan favorite.
If you were gonna call them singles, as in like the standout like catchy ones, this is definitely one.
I would imagine if you saw them live and they were like, "What song should we play next?" If they haven't played this song, people are probably gonna be yelling it.
Exactly. Oh, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
So this song opens up with like dirty, filthy, fuzzy guitar. Like it's so, I don't know how to explain. Like it's like deep and like it's almost like a guttural vibration of just filth. It's a good guitar sound. So what, like, how do they get that sound?
What it sounds like is it's like a fuzz pedal is basically what it was. And so you would put your guitar through the fuzz pedal, you turn it on and just turn it up, and it almost turns your guitar into like a synthesizer.
Yeah.
Like it basically sounds like somebody singing like a Moog, but that's a guitar that they're playing it on. But it's really freaking awesome. But like we would end up doing that just to kind of fuck around. We would never use it in a song. But they also use it perfectly in this song. It goes throughout the whole song.
No, like it's almost like the like droning constant.
Yeah. It's so amazing.
Like a foot pedal like that would not fit into a My Getaway song.
No, it wouldn't. But it's such a cool effect, and it's almost like it's unfortunate to hear it on CD. If you're actually there, it's a cool like feeling it gives.
Right.
It's such
like
a
you
low.
almost like feel it in the air.
Yeah, no, it's like you actually feel it in your rib cage. It's like
Absolutely.
It's pretty badass. But no, the fact that they incorporated it into an entire song is pretty impressive.
Lyrically, this song, it is very tongue in cheek.
Yes.
It's the whole premise is we're the Brews. We're basically a hardcore gang.
Yeah, it's like a group of Jewish punkers.
Orthodox, Hasidic.
Yeah. And like they're kidding around how they're gonna go around and fuck up the town as long as they're in by the Sabbath, which is Saturday morning.
Yeah,
they're fine.
What is it? Basically, it's basically all about like we're gonna kick the shit out of all the non-Jews.
Yes.
And we're gonna screw all the non-Jew ladies as long as we're home in time for the Sabbath.
Yeah, then everything's okay. It's really funny, and it's NoFx is the only band that could kind of do something like this, and it's just a weird like
it is.
You know what I mean? It's like it's so weird to talk about, but
like
it's so good. Like you hear it, you don't even blink. You know what I mean? You're like, okay, yeah, that's cool. But then you're trying to explain to somebody who's never heard of them before, and you're like, Jesus fucking Christ.
Well,
that's kind of ironic too.
I want to give some historical context to the song. So in the 80s, there's a huge problem with skinheads, and skinheads have come up here and there on the show. And so skinheads were basically Nazis. Like they are literally skinheads dudes who were into punk, and they really took the ideology of Ian MacKaye and straight edge and a lot of like hardcore punk, and then somehow made it about fucking white supremacy and literally Nazism.
Right. And it also was very prevalent in the Los Angeles area in the early 80s.
There's
which is
like
NoFx.
skinheads, yeah.
NoFx is starting in 1983. They're starting right in the middle of this.
That's where you get songs by like Propaganda of the only good fascist is a dead fascist.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
So
or Pennywise too has an incredible song.
Like there's a huge thing in like Gilman Street in the Bay Area, like huge problem with skinheads like fucking people up.
Well, yeah, no, it was tough because they were coming in and basically they created a niche in the scene and they turned hardcore punk into almost like a battle cry.
Yeah, they were fucking neo-Nazis, man.
Yeah, they were turning punk shows into like gatherings.
The bruise of why this is another good, like almost like a use of comedy of like kind of taking something and flipping it.
Yeah, the only way Fat Mike could do it.
What they're really doing here is they're flipping it on its head. So instead of like skinheads being like super Nazi and the other way, like what if we took Jewish people and instead of like it being like Nazi stomping people, like what if they were like going out and like fucking people up? And his use, what's really good in his songwriting, really comes through in this song, is he really takes and flips, uses a lot of Yiddish, like Meshuggahs, which is Yiddish for crazy person, Chiksas, which is what you call non-Jewish women.
There's a lot of slang in this.
There's a lot of like Yiddish, and like one of my favorite lines is orthopedic Dr. Martin's good for waffle making and kicking in the shins.
So explain that. Why is that?
So Doc Martens are a type of boot that was really popular with skinheads and punk in general.
Yeah, they were.
And one of their famous soles was called the waffle or the waffle maker because of the pattern on the bottom.
Yep.
So it's literally like a poetic way to say like we're gonna stomp people.
It's beautiful. It's a call to arms. in a way only Fat Mike can put to paper.
And it also has as if you listen to the last episode Bayside, it has one of my favorite things in the world. It has a key change.
There's a key change in it, which is always impressive.
Which always tickles the little like music theater dork in me.
And then not to mention too, like everybody kind of looks at NoFx as this, they're a punk band and
simple 4-chord, yeah.
They're adding in like complex theory into their song.
So really the only reason I wanted to bring up the Brews specifically is I feel like right now in the world there's like we're not at a news show. We're not current events. You don't want to hear our take on politics.
No, of course not.
But I do think
I'm shocked they even want to hear our take on music. So
no, honestly, I think I should just talk about Ninja Warrior and you should talk about fancy food.
Just aiolis.
Aioli and Jesse Graff.
That's it.
That's all we are.
That's it.
But right now I feel like in the world there's the term alt-right, which to me just means Nazi.
Right.
But like neo-Nazi, there was some stuff that happened in Charlottesville, and like neo-Nazi is a term in the news right now that's like a friend of mine the other day, like kind of embarrassed, like didn't want to ask anybody else, was like, I don't know what neo-Nazi means. I know what a Nazi is, but what's a neo-Nazi?
Right.
And I think the Brews is literally talking about like kind of the first wave neo-Nazi.
Well, yeah, no, I mean that was, and it is kind of relevant in that sense that there was a Nazi movement moving through the punk scenes on the West Coast.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's always kind of weird when you think about that.
Yeah. Everything's cyclical, even neo-Nazis.
Yeah. History is constantly repeating itself, I guess. But
absolutely. So this episode is kind of flipped because normally, like historically, the show has always been, I'm the guy who like hears the songs and I hear the melody, but like I don't even know what the words are.
Right.
My famous example is I had no idea Fall Out Boy bitched about girls so much.
Yeah, no, that still cracks me up.
No, I seriously like it. Like even like where is your boy? And I had no idea. It's like oh, like, I had no idea Fall Out Boy was emo because I just listened like, oh, it's pop punk.
It's so funny, man.
So pop punk.
Yeah, no,
Jack.
absolutely.
But so last week we did Bayside.
Yeah, which Bayside, that's a band that I kind of went into that one. I knew them and I kind of put them on you. And it's like I like showed you like new food and you're like, I want
to. Colors I hadn't seen. Like, let's be honest, really quick here. On the show, there's this kind of ongoing thing of like, I didn't realize that there was still a part of me that was a shit guy who was like, you know what, fuck you, emo kid. Like, I didn't, like, I always tell you, I would always say like, I used to be like that, I'm not like that anymore.
Yeah.
And then we would do bands like The Starting Line.
Right.
And the whole time in my head, I'm like, fucking emo kid.
No, of course.
And like, it's something I'm working on because I don't want to be dismissive.
No, of course, absolutely.
But then there is an undeniable emo element of Bayside.
Yeah.
And it's almost like, I like this. But
yeah,
and then you're like, yeah, they're kind of
scary,
emo.
right?
And I'm like, no, they're not because I like them.
Oh, it was so funny. Yeah, no, you came in with such an explanation.
But so ever since we did Walking Wounded, for the first time in my life, I'm reading lyrics.
Yeah.
So
whoa. What?
Yeah, apparently these words aren't just sounds to go with a melody.
So it's so funny too because I'm so robotic in life, and like so the human aspect of the songs.
I don't know. I actually think, like, don't be me wrong, you're a
no,
total fucking robot.
Absolutely.
But like you
does not compute.
you do attract more to the emotive side of music.
Yeah.
I have always been more attracted to the more primal side of like just like the guitar and the drums and
yeah,
and
no,
that.
Absolutely.
It really was fucking Anthony Ranieri in Walking Wounded of like,
he's an amazing lyricist.
There's another level.
You know, he's like levels beyond anybody else when it comes to like songwriting and whatnot. He's incredible. You were asking me if I had like any intakes on the lyrics for Fat Mike, and I kind of told you like I was kind of intimidated to even touch it because I consider him like lyric wise like he's same level.
Yeah.
And it's so weird too, because like, and I really don't know what it is, but like they just like they get a rap from like it's almost like the people that like them kind of just like how purposely shitty it is, or like how it just kind of is like brushed off. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's so hard to explain.
They have a great head of hair, but they don't comb it.
Yeah, and it's like they're cool with that. And then yeah, it was really good. And then at the same time though, as like somebody that is on the outside, like looking in, and I'm also coming into it like well after the fact.
Right.
You're looking at it and go, this is fucking magnificent. Like this is like
prose.
No, this is like, yeah, exactly. It's like, it's so dumb, but it's like, no, these guys are like, they it's like the insecurity they brush off like so much of like how good they are. It's like they try to like cover it up or like, you know what I mean? It's
right.
like, I don't even know how to explain it.
There's a lot of thing of like, you never want to look like you're trying.
Yeah, I guess that's what it is. It's like if you were to go to like a restaurant. I hate to use the food, but it's like it's an amazing chef.
You hate to use the food, John?
It's an amazing chef, and then he purposely like ruins the way the dish looks before he brings it out to you. So like you're like, oh, and then you start to eat. You're like, wow, this is really, really good. Yeah. But it looks like shit. It's like that's NoFx. I mean, like I don't know how else to describe it.
Like I'm actually gonna do a lyric breakdown this week.
What?
Because there's 2 songs on this album. We're gonna touch on one of them a lot and the other a little.
Okay.
But really quick. The first song that I showed you to like really sell you on like we have to do NoFx was Scavenger Type.
Yeah, you did. You showed me that and kind of just like brought it on one day, and you're just like, hey, listen to this.
Yeah. So Scavenger Type is the last song on the album. It's just Fat Mike and an acoustic guitar.
Yeah, it's really, really, really good and sincere. Yeah, goosebumps, right?
I get goosebumps every time it comes on because what it is. It's I'm not going to go through that whole one breakdown, but he uses a lot of really poetic ways of saying things. So the story is about a man who freezes to death begging for change. So first off, happy topic.
Yeah. That's not happy. It's heavy.
Oh, it's
heavy topic.
It was sarcasm.
No, I know you're being sarcastic. No, of course. Absolutely. But like, I was like, I just wanted to like, because like they're so sarcastic in every other aspect.
Yeah.
So for them, like.
They're very irreverent.
Yeah. Like on the closing one, they're like, we're going to make a wow statement.
Here's the reason why, like, I as a songwriter, because I still play a lot of music on my own. I literally write a song every week just to practice.
Right.
I'm not great I've never been great at lyrics, if you can imagine why.
I love it too, because I was actually talking to my guitarist from my old band days, Josh, today.
Oh, for my getaway?
Yeah. And I was asking him a couple questions about guitar and I know he meant it nice, but he actually ended up just sending me like a YouTube video of like a tutorial on scales. And I'm like, well, I guess it's now the time to learn guitar. But it's so true because like I was never a technical player, and he didn't mean anything mean by it. But it was just like that's kind of like what I was getting at. It's like it's so funny because like you're so like intellectual when it comes to music. You're like the Buddha.
Here's what that is. That's like if your friend like is a professional like Tour de France bicyclist.
Yeah, which Josh, for all intents and purposes, is a
and you guys
professional
used to
musician.
like ride bikes together as kids, and you're like, yeah, man, I haven't got my bike on forever. And he sent you an Amazon link to training wheels.
No, that's exactly it. And like, and he wasn't trying to be a dick or anything, but it was like, it was perfect. But he was so sincere.
It's also so much more dickish that he wasn't doing it to be.
No, it was like, because like, this is literally what I said to him too, which is, now I know you're going to make fun of me even more. I'm like, hey, Josh, I have a music theory question. And he gets back to me. He's like, what's up? And I'm like, what is it called when like those bands play that chord structure that's like Blink-182 uses all the time? And so like, I was just basically asking, it's like when you start on like the 5th fret and the D, and then you go right up to the 5th fret for an A.
And then you go up to 7,
yeah,
and down to 3.
Yeah, and like he like
you
broke.
go 1, 5, 6, 4.
Yeah, that's exactly what he called it too. And he broke it down. And as he's saying it to me,
So you're saying I'd be good friends with this guy?
no, you would love Josh. And like, as he's saying it to me, I'm just like, man, like I could barely play a solo. It's just like, and so I was just like, I really, man, thanks for calling. Cause like, I was hoping there was like a name for it. So like, I could be like, you know, like the static Croce complex. I'm like, that's what it's called. And like, I was going to try to drop that on you today and like, wow you. And you'd be like, whoa, wait, where did he pull that out of?
If you said like it's a 1, 5, 4 progression, I would have been like, oh, it totally is.
Right.
And I would have started just listening like,
and like
hundreds of other songs.
And like, it just goes back to like, kind of like how I'm all about like image. I was like, that doesn't sound good enough for me, so I'm not even going to mention it on the show. Like, fuck that, I'm going to drop it. But he ended up,
what was it, the Stata-Rocha complex?
Yeah, I was like hoping like for something like awesome.
I do like Stata-Rocha.
Yeah, like the Stata-Rocha complex. And so like I was hoping for something like that. And then the other thing I was thinking about with it, he started telling me that because he gives guitar lessons to kids, and like he's taught so many kids how to play guitar.
Can you afford his rate?
What's that?
I was being a dick.
Yeah, no.
Can you afford his rate?
No, I couldn't. I don't even think Josh would work with me. He'd be like, dude, like you gotta practice at home or something. Like you're not at the level yet. This is the guy I used to be in a band with. And so he was telling me how he's like trying out some like new theory to teach kids like how to play the music in a major scale, but by numbers. And like I just said to him, I was like, oh my God, like I wish you would have known that when we were in the band, because you could have taught me how to play guitar. Because like, and like it's so bad. But, like he would always like show me the songs like that he would come into practice when he wrote something. I was constantly rewriting what he was telling me into the way I understood it. And I was always bringing it down into numbers and like adding and all this type of stuff, making it really mathematical.
It's all numbers, man.
Yeah, it is all numbers. But like at the time, like he was just like, hey, you're gonna play G, then you go to an A minor. But I'm like trying to figure out like oh, that's the 4th fret down to the 5th fret. Or like when I would listen to a song, if I liked it, I'd always be like, okay, let me turn this into numbers, and then let me move it around the guitar and see if like I can get something out of that, because like I want to pay homage to it, to like, you know.
Yeah, so there's 1, 5, 6, 4, and there's also 1, 6, 4, 5. Those are basically your 2 pop progressions for everything.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that's what I was trying to say, is because like the reason why I like NoFx, and like this is why I was trying to pull it out, is because NoFx really doesn't ride that like at all. They have a signature sound in that, and that's basically what I was trying to do. But the fact that it's not called like the staccato theory or the Staccamucci complex, like
we can't even break down Statamuki. We just got to stick to the Stata-Rocha.
The Stata-Rocha effect.
Statamuki is too. Our listeners aren't ready, John.
Yeah, no. So I was hoping, because like it again, like how stupid am I? We're talking about fucking punk here.
Listen to our new side podcast. Aaron teaches the world and John music theory.
John still doesn't get it.
So the other song I want to break down is actually one that like I said, I've heard this album hundreds of times.
Yep.
Oh, really quick! I actually got to tag this up quick. You know me. You know my brain. I gotta complete things. Otherwise, I literally feel.
Yeah, you're gonna run into your circuits, and you're just gonna keep repeating it on loop.
Yeah, I won't be able to like delete it from my RAM.
It's like, you know, like when an old VCR was trying to eject the tape, but it was like off the track, and it was
exactly. I've been blinking 12 my whole life, man. Ooh, that'd be a good lyric.
What is that?
I've been blinking 12 my whole life, never said on time.
Blinkin' 12, that was actually their first name, and then they had to switch it to 182 because there was a Blinkin' 12 too.
Well, actually, 12 and Blink both sued them.
Yeah, no, they got sued.
It was actually...
It was bad.
Was it?
And then 7, 8, 9, and then everybody was really upset.
You know what? I actually heard from 8's mom the other day.
Oh, really? How's that doing?
Not good. She was putting flowers on his grave, and it's so dusty after all these years.
Sucks, man.
You know what?
7's a dick.
7 is a dick. And honestly, you know what? I really blame 7's mom. You know, where the fuck was she when he was getting home from school to give him some goddamn fucking structure, John?
Absolutely.
No, so I have to get this out of my brain, otherwise it's going to drive me nuts.
Yeah, no, of course.
Scavenger type thing I was talking about. Like, I'm not going to go deep into that, but he has a lot of, like, so it's about, like I said, it's about a homeless man who freezes to death. I think I said hobo before. I feel like hobo is the nicest way to say homeless.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
If you're homeless and you disagree, call in. I need you to call in at 857-342-5777 or 857.
We do not take collect phone calls. So I just want to make that very
That is
clear
true, but
to any homeless people.
Absolutely. But if you can borrow a phone from
Isn't
someone,
I think a hobo means that you live on trains or you use trains to get around.
is it train specific, John?
I think it is.
Really?
Yeah, no, I'm almost positive about this because I knew a hobo once.
Did he also just wear a barrel?
The hobo is a migrant worker or a homeless vagabond, especially one who is impoverished and gives rim jobs under bridges and likes trains.
Wait, what bridges? Just for a friend.
It doesn't matter. Actually, the George Washington Bridge up here has a couple of hobos.
Oh, in that little red lighthouse?
Yeah, unlike Tramp, who only works when they're forced to, and a bum who does not work at all, a hobo is a traveling worker.
Is this on the Wikipedia?
Yeah, so no, but I knew there was a hierarchy. So like, if you're gonna call somebody a hobo, it's actually there's different tiers of it. So let's.
So they're a guy like so basically temp, like if you work like a temp job and you're not working right now, you're a hobo.
You're a hobo, and like you can call into the show.
Yeah.
Not collect.
So if you want to tell us if you're a hobo and your hobo lifestyle, call into the show 857-342-5777 or 857
Dial PPS.
All right, dial Pod Punk Show. So just really quick though, scavenger type thing. It's like I said, it's about I think he's begging for money. Does that make him a bum? Let's just say homeless. It's about a homeless man who unfortunately freezes to death at the end of the song. It's very sad. No, but he there's one line that I love that I really wanted to bring up, which is a fifth of comfort.
Yes.
And the way that's talking about drinking, and it took me a long time listening to this song. I'm like, oh wait, that's Southern Comfort.
Absolutely.
But like, just the way he the coins don't drop as consistent as does the mercury.
Yeah.
It's just a really poetic way to talk about like it's getting colder out, but he's not getting enough money.
Yeah, it's brutal, and also too like even though it is very catchy and it's amazing, it's kind of cool like to hear that last song where it's just like the songwriter alone. Just him, and it's very sensitive.
And also, what's really quick about Scavenger Type musically is the rhythm of it. I actually learned how to play that and sing it at the same time. It's really fucking hard because he's playing like ska upstrokes. His rhythm singing is in a different meter than his playing. So you'll notice every now and then like it gets kind of quiet as he does this like kind of walk down in the chords, and it's literally because he has to go down enough to reset to land back on one. It's hard to explain, but it's a really cool song.
So if you were to just really quickly sum up, because this is the last song on this amazing album, if you had to really quickly sum it up in like one sentence, what would you say the song's about?
Humanity.
Humanity. And just like a really sincere look at it.
It's a sincere look of I think this often whenever I see someone homeless or someone in a bad situation. Right. I'm not a particularly religious person, but there's this saying I think of a lot of there but for the grace of God go I.
Oh wow, that's pretty deep.
And it really is like anyone on the street, and like you can be like, well, they made their choices. If you want to be like super like, yeah, whatever, they put themselves there, pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Like if you actually want to be kind of the shitty 70s dad inside me, like, but it's also, I could see a scenario or a series of events that could lead me to being there. Like no matter how secure you are, like if my wife got hurt and couldn't work and then I had to stay home and take care of her, and I also lost my job and then we lost our apartment. Like I don't have any family or close to. I could see a scenario when like I'm the person trying to find cardboard and a Sharpie to ask for help.
Oh man, that's pretty crazy. That's pretty touching then.
When I say God, I just think of like the random like luck or the just happenstance of the universe. And like it really is, that could be me if situations were turned.
So do you know what I love about NoFx though? Like this is like they're closing out their album with this song.
Yeah.
Like you see how like just emotional like you got and how touching it is to you. And it kind of just shows though how great of a songwriter he is, Fat Mike.
Yeah.
He follows this up with an album of a farmer 69 eating out a goat, a sheep.
And well, that's the band cover.
So that gets banned.
The new cover is him.
So he goes, okay, hold on, because it's painted too. So he's like, hold on, we got to paint up a new one. And it's a farmer sincerely holding a sheep. But if you actually look at it, he's fingering that sheep.
Yeah, he's fingering it out.
And all I have to say is, God bless him. Like
Yeah.
that's what I love about this band. There.
I didn't think I was going to explain my my philosophy on the universe in this episode.
No, you didn't. But I mean, and we get to follow it up with some bestiality jokes.
They really are. They really are when you take like a filthy late night comic who then will also say like some super profound fucking like Doug Stanhope. Like he'll say like he'll talk about fucking cum on a stripper's tummy and the dollar bill sticking to her, but then later also make you consider your entire perspective on the universe.
But no, I mean, like he's an interesting guy. It's just like I find it so interesting with this band that like they just stand out in a sea of a lot of the same. They're completely like a shining beacon.
Oh, they're amazing. So the song I want to break down before we go to the break and we come back is it's called Happy Guy. And this is when because I asked John like, hey, did you do any of the lyrics stick out to you? And you're like, I can't even
Well, I
can't
was
even parse
intimidated.
that. It's
Yeah,
in-
no, I was intimidated.
like it's in the original Latin.
Well, no, I just felt like for whatever reason, I just felt like he's a singer that he's singing about things. Like, of course. No, but I mean, like, you know what I mean? It's
No,
not just
I know,
like
I know.
it's not just like some girl broke up with me and I wrote down some things and I was sad and now other people relate to it. Like, I feel like he's deeper. You know what I mean? Like everything he's saying is for a reason, even though he doesn't mean it to be. And like that's what I think is so amazing about him. It's like he's like Socrates. Like he's like just like spewing out all this stuff, and everyone's like, "Whoa, what the hell?" And like it's just like, and I don't know, like if he knows that and that's how he plays it, or if that's just how he is. It's a cool fucking dude, man.
Yeah, well, it's the only guy that like will equally talk in interviews about getting peed on by girls.
Right, which there's nothing wrong with if it's two consenting adults.
No, it's the thing of like it's still like, you know me, I'm a prude.
Yeah,
like,
no, you get all weirded out.
I grew up very Midwestern, and I'm like, you know, I'm
sterile.
I'm very like, honestly, the song Vanilla Sex is about me. I'm very like, I'm just normal.
You're not the Bear Grylls in the bedroom.
So there's two songs on this album. There's one called Punk Guy,
Yes.
which is kind of a very sarcastic, like how there is no way to be the perfect punk person. So they talk about like this guy who is, he's crazier than Gigi Allen.
Well,
he's more hardcore than, or more PC than Ian MacKaye.
Yeah, and like I love that too because like that's like so relatable to like every like when you would go to like a teen center show or like you would go to a local show, there was always a hierarchy. And like literally everyone was always trying to outdo each other. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I just like that they're able to like point that out and just be like, that's fucking dumb. And like, we're just going to make fun of that.
Yeah, no, I've said before, and like, you know what to me the most punk thing in the world is?
And what's that?
Not giving a fuck what anyone else thinks is punk.
No, I mean, that's what's fucking awesome. And that's exactly it. And you become punk by not trying to be punk.
Yeah, you become like that's why I love Bad Religion. Like, do they wear mohawks? No. Do they have those like fucking like jean jackets with like patches on them? No.
Wait, they don't have like any spiky hair with a portion of it pink?
No.
But then how would you know they're punk?
Exactly. They literally just wear jeans and like fucking a black t-shirt and that's it.
Yeah.
But then they have a second song called Happy Guy, and I asked John, I'm like, what did you think of this song? And you're like, oh, I liked that. Like just kind of like normal. And I'm like, do you know what it's about?
Well, yeah, you just like casually started telling me off the air, and I was like, whoa, wait a fucking minute. Like that's like so deep, and like it's also too like the album's amazing, and I think every song on it's incredible. If you were to ask me, I think the first 5 or 6 are like nonstop, like in your face. When you get
It's very front loaded.
When you get towards the end, it's still good, but he's starting to get a little bit deeper. This is one of those songs, but like it's really good.
This is more towards the end because this one, like the hook on it's not super tight. There's actually not really a defined chorus in this song.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say this one is like one of the few ones that the melody isn't as good as the content of the lyrics. Which is really rare on this album.
So John twisted my arm and he's like, okay, you're going to have to do a lyric breakdown on this.
Well, yeah, because like I had nothing, so I wanted to hear it. And that actually was being like a disservice to the album because it's a deep album. It's still good.
Oh, absolutely. So the song's called Happy Guy. So the first verse... Song is about a guy who finds God and becomes religious, and especially this day and age, like I'm just gonna come out and say it. I'm agnostic. I'm not atheist. I'm not religious. I fluctuate on a spectrum in between.
Okay.
Depending on the day, I go like, yeah, there's probably something, and I go, there's probably not.
Sure.
My biggest belief is no one knows.
I mean, that's a pretty good.
It's
you know, if you had to take a side, that's a side.
That's the one thing I do know is no one knows.
Right.
What this song is about is this kind of like pressure of people who are very like into science and very like about reasoning and mathematics. About how this guy, how could you kind of go to religion later in life if you are like a man of science or you understand computer programming, like you're a very logical person.
Yeah, it actually, when you read the lyrics with him singing it tells a very vivid story of a person.
It absolutely does. So, and then, and it goes...
Trying to explain how he found the word of God can make life seem less insane. So he shares what he's read, what he understands. It makes sense to him, it makes perfect sense. He's never seen the world so clearly. Turn his back on free will as he lost his mind. Rather kneel down than take charge of his life. And he knows what people think, but it doesn't sway him. He can read the writings on the wall.
And so it's really starting to take this turn of like, he's like, it's really about a guy being like, yeah, I believe in God now. And everyone's be like, oh, what are you, like a crazy gonna be outside an abortion clinic? He's like, no, it made the world make more sense to me and help me find peace. And then it goes back to at the end, it's don't try to judge him, his theological ideas. His hopes may be false, but his happiness is real. Don't try to judge him, he's just a man. The song's called Happy Guy.
Yeah.
It's about a guy being like, yeah, I found religion. This works for me. It might not work for you. I'm not saying you have to do it, but like it's about finding peace, and however you find that, and if you're not hurting anyone else, is good.
Right. And like, what I found very interesting and amazing from it is like, this is a band that's very political. Like they'll get like in songs and they'll just be like, this is the way to go with this. And like, if you're not, you're fucking dumb.
They're like, let's be straight. Fat Mike's not Christian.
Yeah. And it's a very mature take, but at the end of the day, it's just basically saying like, let everybody do what they do. Let them be them. You might not agree with it, but at the end of the day, he's more happy than you. So maybe you need to maybe look at your life and kind of look in as to why you're so interested into him.
Yeah, and he's just a man.
It's pretty interesting. It's pretty deep. It's kind of cool. You wouldn't expect that off of an album with like the other topics.
No, absolutely. And that's me and John have this kind of ongoing discussion. I don't want to say disagreement. Disagreement's not the right word. But we have this ongoing debate about like how much right do we have to decipher lyrics?
Oh yeah, no, absolutely.
So I don't know if there's someone in his life he's writing the song about or personally.
Yeah, you wouldn't know.
I don't care who it's about for him.
It's how you connect with it to
yourself. It's the story he's telling about something and the ideas presented. And I feel confident enough that I can say, yeah, that's definitely like the theme of what the song is about. And then I can put myself in those shoes. I can put someone I know in those shoes and how I react to them.
No, absolutely.
That's all. Like music and lyric writing is so hard because you have to write ambiguous and specific.
Right. And I think though, you can't lump it all into one group. So like there's songs that I like and I'll listen to them and I know I'm listening to them because like I don't really know who they're about, but I know what they're about. And because of that, I'm able...
Like Jesse's Girl.
Sure, like Jesse's Girl. And so like from that, you're able to like, put it into a situation.
Yeah.
Okay. So like I'm saying is like, I like that type of stuff too. And so I don't think you can lump it all together, but I do think it's really freaking cool when you like start to break down like some of their lyrics towards the back end of this album. They're really fucking
deep.
Yeah. No, and you wouldn't expect it from it. Like, this is... They're just they're like going out of their way to not, you know what I mean? Like,
to not be taken seriously.
Yeah, it's like seriously, and like that's what ends up happening, and like they're really actually pretty profound in a lot of different ways. I think it's really interesting.
Absolutely. So, do you want to take how about this? Do you feel like we did a good job on kind of breaking this down?
Yeah, I think we covered a lot on this album, especially parts I don't think people would really pay much. Even if you're a fan of this album, I think we covered songs that normally wouldn't be talked about.
Oh, absolutely. Like, literally, like, Happy Guy is not one that I even had written down. I'm like, oh, hey, this is a neat thing.
Yeah.
And John's like, no, you're missing the gold.
Yeah. No, it was really good.
All right. Really quick, before we keep going, let's just take a break, and we'll come right back into it.
Breathe, ever so soft. We wouldn't want to break the egg as we walk. Never alone, cautious, afraid. I hear the voice of reason on the PA. Leave it alone, follow the grain. We couldn't stop the irresistible force. Leave it the same, change with the leaves. Ringing in the sheets, ringing in the old. Leave it alone.
Oh, it is. It's a good, energizing song. So let's just get right down to brass tacks. Let's do our verdicts.
Yeah, I think we're ready too, and I think it's pretty clear.
So, rock, paper, scissors. You go first.
Okay, cool. Ready?
Yep.
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
Oh, it looks like I won.
Damn, yeah, that was good. Okay, so basically, like looking into this album, I think I said before, like Fat Mike is the Paul McCartney of crap. Like I don't think this album's crap. I think honestly, it's one of the best albums. And so like basically, if you like the band Good Charlotte, if that's like a band that you like, if you like that style of pop punk, you should listen to this album because like it's that just sung in a gravelly voice. And then they're not doing those like really, really hoity-toity like mall riffs where it's like yeah, they're not doing any of that type of stuff. But like it's pop punk. It's really, really catchy. It's really, really well. These guys are masters of craftsmen when it comes to actually songwriting. And If I basically had to put this like summed up in another way of saying something I haven't said already that's great about this album is it's clearly a masterpiece, which now as I'm saying that, I think I'm out of ideas because like I think I said that earlier. Like, no, I don't know how else to put it.
I feel like we were on a kick now of like love fests.
Yeah, and like I just like
but there's a lot of good music.
No, that's what I'm saying. But like my main thing here is all that I'm trying to convey, and I don't know if my words are well thought out to convey that, is like if you're like, I would never listen to NoFx. I do not like that type of music. I like Simple Plan.
I do not like Eggs
I
and
like
Ham.
Good Charlotte. Yeah, I like Eggs and Ham. Like stop and go listen to this album. It is incredible. Like it's seriously, it's one of the best punk albums that's ever been written.
Out of 5 for this album.
I mean, I would kid around and say 10 out of 5, but 5 out of 5. I mean, there's nothing else you could do.
And what would you give NoFx out of 5?
I have to give them a 5. I mean, they're one of the most original bands, and they're in a crowded genre, and they're coming out of a crowded time of that genre.
Yeah,
and they've stood the test of time. They sound different. They sound like NoFx. Fat Mike sounds like Fat Mike.
Yeah, and
it's absolutely incredible. And like you can just see like just how smart this band is. Just even like just to be and just like you're funny. Okay.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
I wasn't expecting a compliment.
No, but I know. But I'm just saying though, I think you would agree. Like I have a sense of humor.
Yeah.
I'm not like bragging. Like that's a higher thinking is what's able to make you be consistently funny.
No, comedy comes from a lot of places. If you have to be smart enough to understand why the world is silly.
Yeah, you have to be able to figure that out. And like the fact that they're able to consistently do that. And like it's a smart style comedy. It's not like God bless Blink, but it's not like just like I fucked my mom and my daddy too. Like they're writing like songs that are like layers on top of layers on top of jokes on top of layers. And they're doing it perfectly. It's amazing.
Absolutely. They're so would you give them a 5?
Yeah, absolutely. I have to. I think not only a 5, like I think we were saying before though, like it's almost like this is the band.
This is the bullseye of the pop punk dartboard.
Yeah, like just in general, I think out of everything, the entire genre, like this became the band. Mm-hmm. Like this is the standard. Like before and after, there is a before NoFx's Punk In Drublic, and there is an after NoFx's Punk In Drublic, and like this is it.
Absolutely, I agree. So this album means a lot to me. I grew up with it.
Yeah.
It's this was literally I think one of the probably first 5 CDs I ever bought myself.
And I'm so jealous that at that age though, you got to hear something like this, but also at the same time, it's like I don't want to give you that weapon at that age because I don't know if you can appreciate it. Like, you know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely.
It's like a weird thing. Yeah. It like almost ruins music for you.
I was very lucky because my father's a musician, my grandfather's a musician, so I grew up with a lot of blues, but like I don't know if have I told you before or on the show the first 5 albums I had as a kid?
I think so. What were they again?
It was the Beatles' Sgt. Pepper's.
That's a good one.
It was literally the first album that I had my own copy of.
That's a great album.
It was Bob Marley on the Wailers' Legend.
Okay. It's an okay album. I've heard good things about it.
That's also how I ended up getting really into ska later.
Yeah, that will do it.
It was Pink Floyd's Greatest Hits.
Oh my gosh.
It was the Black Album by Metallica.
Yeah, no, that's an okay album too.
Like literally when I'm 4 years old.
No, I'm like what I'm doing here is like I'm starting with Sgt. Pepper and then I'm moving like 5 years out and it's like what's the next best album? Then I'm moving like 5 years out. I'm like, well, what's that next best album? I'm moving like 5 years out. Like no, that's a pretty solid repertoire.
And then the 5th one is the only one that's like it was Dave Matthews Band's Crash.
I mean, that's still not a bad album. You know what my first album is that I ever bought?
These weren't what I bought. These were the 4 or 5 albums I kept borrowing from my dad when I was 4 years old. Okay. When he's at work, and he just bought me my own copies.
So you know what my first album was that I ever like started? Like first album I actively went out and seeked?
What?
Prodigy, Fat of the Land. I bought it from a Blockbuster.
What was Prodigy?
They were like that electronic metal band that was like, breathe with me.
Like a 9 Inch Nails. Is this like industrial?
They were like a British industrial ecstasy band. It's pathetic.
What's your second?
Exactly, right?
Do you know what your second was?
I think it was the Simpsons soundtrack.
There's a Simpsons soundtrack?
Yeah, it's amazing. I'll let you borrow it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I don't need to draw this out. I think
you don't.
In this episode, the only thing I was going to say is there's a lot of people like, yeah, NoFx sounds like so many punk bands. No. So many punk bands sound like NoFx because they are the benchmark.
And like maybe it's just because like we're a little bit more in tune to it. Like we're constantly listening to like music from this area and genres. Like I don't think any punk bands necessarily sound exactly like NoFx.
I would say Lagwagon is close.
Oh yeah, I mean Lagwagon, you can definitely tell they like NoFx a lot.
A lot of the early fat bands, they had a very NoFx flavor to them.
Okay.
But they were using the same producer.
That makes sense.
And also, like, they got signed to their Heroes label.
No, of course.
So just like a lot of bands on Hellcat, to an extent, had a very Rancid-y flavor.
And that
to
Aaron,
them.
like I was saying, that Aaron Green guy was like the in-house producer.
Was it Ryan Green?
Ryan Green, I'm sorry. So like I was saying, that Ryan Green guy,
Yeah.
he was like the in-house producer for Fat Mike before he got bored and moved on to Usher. You know how that is.
Yeah. All right, it's getting late here. Obviously, for me, they're both 5 out of 5, so this makes them officially Pod Punk Platinum.
Yeah.
Do you think we should put in a little like sparkle sound effect every time we say
Yeah.
Pod Punk Platinum?
Yeah, absolutely. We're not going to do it very often. We've been on a roll as of late.
Should it be a sparkle sound effect like this? Or should it be like a hailing trumpet for a king like this?
It's got to be the sparkle.
Sparkle?
Oh my God, yeah. There's no question.
That was a good sparkle.
Yeah.
All right.
Magical.
Anything you want to recommend this week?
I mean, I'm gonna recommend Anti-Flag. Like,
Really?
Yeah. Like, they're punk, absolutely, but they're like the Backstreet Boys of like punk, and that's like it's almost an insult. It is an insult, I guess. But I'm just saying is like they have a lot of harmonies and they have a lot of really catchy hooks. They're really good.
Awesome. I'm going to recommend an actual band that I know is a big influence to, I believe, Fat Mike and that style. And they're actually one of those like hardcore 80s punk bands. They're called the Subhumans.
Oh, cool.
Really good. But like, yeah, definitely call in any feedback on the show, anything you just want to say about punk rock, or hey, if you want to be like, hey, Aaron, you fuck, you got this wrong, you fuck, or however you phrase your insults towards podcast hosts, please call us in and let us know. We really want to start using those in shows and episodes, so definitely call in, leave a voicemail. The number is 857-342-5777.
Sounds good.
All right, thank you so much for listening this week. My name is Aaron Haag.
And I'm John Bryan.
Stay punk.
Gigging alone at the bottom of the hill. Our protagonist named Bill sets his sights on an acre steam pint. All he needs is 13 quarters congregated in his hat. A crow, a scavenger type, California redemption provides him with his rent, room and board inside of a fifth of comfort. As the wind penetrates his bones, his mind keeps focused. Tidal waves of sound catapulted from his horn, wail like lovers. The coins don't drop consistent, as does the mercury. His meter slows, realizing a zenith. He's reached perfection. No one did see him